We're a nation that feels more divided than ever, aren't we? I mean, if you just scroll through your feed, looks like we're a country that's at war with itself. We're in a battleground of angry tribes and imported dogmas. We look for our answers in big, complicated terms and in big, complicated ideologies. I call them isms, right? Nationalism, globalism, communism, right? All of these isms, various different isms all over the place, right? And it is my belief that isms cause schisms, right? All these ideologies, they were born in other places, they were born in other lands, and they've been transported here to America. They've been transplanted here, and as a good nation of people, we try to fit them in. But it's like trying to put on a pair of shoes that are too small, right? They're going to hurt your feet. You're going to get blisters. It's going to pinch. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I guess, hey, as long as you look cool, right? But what if we've been looking for everything in the wrong place? What if the ideology for America is already right here? What if it's been right here all along? See, in America, we don't need to import an ideology because we already have one. America's foundational ideology was a unifying idea that was given to us on a hot Philadelphia night in 1787, right? I'm talking about the United States Constitution. That is America's ideology, right? The United States Constitution is not just some dusty set of laws. It's not too old and it's not antiquated, right? It's America's one true unifier. And you might be thinking, how can this 230-year-old document even still be relevant today, right? How can it be an ideology all on its own? And I suppose that's a fair question, right? It's an ideology because it's doing what all ideologies claim to do, right? And that's offer a vision of how America should be. But unlike all the rigid isms like communism, globalism, Zionism, and all these various isms that have strict sets of beliefs, America's goal and the Constitution offers something bigger, and it's something better, and it offers something that's more radical, right? It's a framework that's actually meant for freedom, right? The goal isn't to make us a uniform nation, right? But it's to build a nation where a group of profoundly different people can actually grow and thrive together. I mean, think about it. The preamble, it doesn't say we the like-minded people of the United States. It just says we the people of the United States, right? And it gives us a mission to form a more perfect union, establish justice, promote domestic tranquility, right? Secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity. It's not just poetry, right? It's a revolutionary blueprint built on three core ideas: liberty as our shield, equality as our goal, and a unified framework as our bond. I mean, let's break these down and look at them individually, okay? Liberty, right? The men who wrote the Constitution were deeply suspicious of power, right? They just fought a war to get rid of a king, and they weren't about to create a new one, right? Their main goal was to design a government that would protect individual liberty from government overreach. The American system's not based on a shared language or ethnicity, right? It's based on creed, a creed of liberty, national rights, limited government, right? And to pull this off, the framers engineered a brilliant system, right? They separated power into three equal branches: the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branch, right? And this wasn't for neatness. They knew it was going to be messy, right? But it was a deliberate move that they did to make it difficult for any one person or one group to obtain too much power, right? They couldn't ever take total control as long as these three branches were there. And for 250 years now, it's worked, right? Then they added another whole layer to this whole thing: checks and balances, right? The president can veto a law, but Congress can override that, right? the courts, they can declare a law unconstitutional, right? But the president gets to appoint who the judges are, right? Senate gets to approve them. So you see, it's this big cycle of how it works together. That's one of the brilliant beauties of America, right? The founders, they called that a healthy tension. Okay, it's a permanent, constructive tug of war, right? And it's designed to keep power from getting concentrated into a certain faction, right? Each branch has the tools that they need to stop the other branches from getting out of line, right? But they didn't just stop there either, right? They gave us the Bill of Rights. And as a citizen of the United States, the Bill of Rights is your sword, right? It declares that some of the freedoms that we celebrate are so precious that they can never be touched by the government, right? The right to speak your mind, the right to practice your faith, the right to be secure in your home, the right not to incriminate yourself, the right to bear arms, right? All of these rights that are in the Bill of Rights that was given to us, right? That is our ideologies, right? And unlike ideologies that put a group first, like communism, globalism, the Constitution's ideology puts the individual at the center, with rights that no majority can either take away or vote away, right? That is our shield. That is our weapon. The second pillar was equality, right? And that leads us to a critical debate that happens in the world today, right? The difference between equality and equity, right? Constitutional equality means that we all have equal rights before the law, right? It's the principal rule that applies to everyone in the same way, guaranteeing an equal starting line for every citizen. Equity, on the other hand, tries to engineer an outcome. It tries to engineer equality of outcome, right? It argues that to get fair results, we may need to treat people differently, right? So that means that lazy people who don't want to go obtain skills can get treated equally to the person who goes out there and busts his butt and works his butt off. And I mean, that's socialism. You know how that works, right? The Constitution is set up so we don't have to face that, right? We're a constitutional republic and not a straight democracy. You can like a certain idea, but you cannot make me like a certain idea. That's the beauty of a constitutional republic. The document's ideology isn't to socially engineer any results, but to establish justice where individual merit, right? Individual merit can flourish. And it's shielded by equal rights. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to win a race. It doesn't guarantee anything based off of your race, color, creed, nationality, height, width, any of that kind of stuff, right? Everybody gets an equal starting position. It's what you do with it that matters. It's what you do with it that's going to determine whether you succeed or fail, right? The journey to live up to that promise, right, of equal protection, that's the story of America, right? The Constitution doesn't pretend that we're a perfect nation, but it commits us to a relentless pursuit of a system where every citizen can stand equal before the law. That's the goal. That's our ideology. The founders weren't stupid. They weren't naive. They knew that a huge, diverse, free country was going to be a rambunctious country, right? They knew that we'd be a nation full of passionate, loud, argumentative people, right? With a lot of disagreements and a lot of varying interests, okay? So their solution, rather than to crush any of those ideas, was to build a container that was big enough and strong enough to hold all of those ideas, right? That's the genius of federalism, okay? By dividing the power between the national government and the states, the Constitution creates a system where one size doesn't have to fit all, right? It allows for different cultures, different values, different solutions to various different problems, local problems, state level problems, federal level problems, while still binding us together as one nation. This is where the structure, right, it enforces compromise, okay? Our constitutional system, no single faction can ever get everything that it wants, but they can all get something that they're going to be happy with, right? To pass a law or to win an election, you have to build a coalition, right? You have to persuade people who do not agree with you, right? The system is designed to channel our conflict into a negotiation and turn our fiery divisions into messy but peaceful progress, right? That's what makes American ideology so unique. That's what makes the Constitution so unique, right? It's not an ideology of blood. It's not an ideology of soil. It's not an ideology. It's not a race or a religion, right? It's an ideology of principles, right? It creates an identity based on shared promises that uphold liberty, equality, and government, okay? It's the very thing that allows someone to come from anywhere in the world and by swearing an oath to the Constitution can become just as American as you or me. But that's the trick. They have to swear the allegiance to our ideology, not bring their ideology over and force it on the rest of us. It doesn't work that way. That's not the Constitution, right? You come here, you accept our ways. That's the way it is, right? We don't have to agree on everything to be united either, right? Our unity can come from a shared commitment to the system itself, to the shared idea of this document of individual liberty, limited government, merit, right? We can have a system that respects our differences without causing us divisions. In this day and age of anger, right, it can feel like the ties that bind us together are actually breaking us, okay? We're constantly told that we need to choose a side, to pick an ism, to get ready to fight. Isms cause schisms, right? Sometimes that noise of the present, it can deafen us to the wisdom of the past, right? The United States Constitution is much more than a historical artifact. It's much more than a dried up piece of parchment paper. It's our shared inheritance. It's our shared values. It's America's shared identity. It's an ideology that trusts the people, limits the government, and gives us a path forward for a more free society, a more just society, and just an all-around better place to live, right? It's a shield against tyranny. It's a shield against the government. It's the framework that makes diversity possible. And I really hate the word diversity because it is a word that signals for divide, right? We need unity, not diversity. We can be different. We can all have our different ideas. We can celebrate different things. But the Constitution is the ideology that we need to wrap ourselves in. The Constitution is the ideology that each and every one of us needs to adopt because it removes all the other things off the table. It removes the unlevel playing field, right? So before you pick a side in the next ideological war, I encourage you to pick up a copy of the Constitution, pick up a copy of the Bill of Rights and read it, right? Debate its principles with yourself or with your friends or right here with me. Hey, just come on here and debate me if you want to, okay? Not with anger though, but with respect for our shared inheritance. Constitution first, right? That's what we need to start pushing forward, right? We have America first. We all love America first. We all want to put America first. But beneath that, we need to have Constitution first. We need to have a unified way of governing ourselves and living in this country. And the only way to do that is by our original ideology handed down from the fathers. Constitution first. Anyway, thanks for listening to me.